Welcome to NTD China News. I'm Karen Chang. Making headlines this Wednesday, May 15th. The Arctic Council names China as one of 6 new observer nations. Israel decides to deport a Chinese national despite risks they could face torture back home. And the next domino falls in the Bo Xilai scandal. The Arctic Council has 6 new observer nations today, and China is amongst them. Global powers have been looking to the Arctic because the changing climate is opening up new economic opportunities there. On Wednesday, after a meeting of the 8 Arctic nations, a decision was made to include China, India, Italy, Japan, Singapore, and South Korea as permanent observers to the Council. The Arctic Council was created in 1996 with these 8 member nations. The Council has largely examined environmental issues, including the impact of ice melts around the region. This melting has opened up shipping routes, and the Arctic has been increasingly used as a shortcut between the Atlantic and the Pacific. There is also intensified competition by global powers for undiscovered reserves of oil and gas in the Arctic. As permanent observers, China and the other countries will not have any powers to make decisions. The increased interest in Arctic's resources has raised some concern that development could harm the fragile environment there. A suspicious substance was discovered in an envelope at a United States consulate in southern China on Monday, stopping some of the office's operations. Deputy spokesman at the US Embassy in Beijing, Justin Higgins, said the envelope was opened in an office where visa interviews are conducted. The consulate is in Guangzhou City in Guangdong province. Precautionary measures were taken to keep the substance away from employees and visitors. No one at the consulate has reported health issues since then. The consulate stopped some of its operations on Tuesday, and visa interviews have been cancelled until today. Guangzhou's Evening News reports that the suspicious substance was a white powder. It got onto an employee's clothes. The substance has not been identified, and an investigation is currently ongoing. A Chinese Falun Gong practitioner who applied for political asylum in Israel faces deportation. Human rights advocates fear she could face torture, even death, if she was forced to return to China.
The Supreme Court of Israel overturned an appeal against a decision by the Ministry of the Interior to deport a 51-year-old practitioner of the Falun Gong spiritual discipline. Human rights advocates in Israel fear that if the Chinese national Wang Li is deported, she could face torture or even death in China. Wang Li escaped from China in 2006, where the Chinese Communist Party has been persecuting Falun Gong for nearly 14 years. Tens of thousands of Falun Gong practitioners have been tortured to death in China. Attorney Mikhail Pomerantz says the reason the deportation order stands is because the court remains unconvinced Wang Li has presented enough proof that she is indeed a practitioner of Falun Gong.
The Supreme Court concluded that the candidate could not prove that she is really a Falun Gong practitioner, and that the authorities in China know for sure that she is a Falun Gong practitioner. Therefore, there is no proof that she is in danger once she returns to China.
But Ms. Pomerantz challenges the view that the evidence is somehow lacking.
We believe we have presented enough evidence that the Chinese authorities know that she is a Falun Gong practitioner. There is also evidence that photographers of the Chinese embassy are taking photos and took photos of her during rallies and while she was exercising on the beach.
Other Falun Gong practitioners in Israel have also applied for asylum, fearing for their lives if they're forced to return to China.
We hope that if we cannot prevent the deportation of this practitioner, that at least she will find asylum in a third country.
Ms. Li is allowed to stay in Israel until May 19th. NTD News, Israel.
The downfall of Chongqing's former party chief Bo Xilai continues to reverberate in the southwestern metropolis. The city's former deputy police chief is the latest to fall, but some of the details are murky.
Chongqing's deputy police chief Tang Jianhua has been given a suspended death sentence for bribery. The news came on Wednesday after state-run media reported on Monday that he was fired from his position and expelled from the Chinese Communist Party. But according to Beijing lawyer Li Zhuang, this announcement is months overdue.
Tang Jianhua was arrested last August and sentenced to death in February 2013, but it has not been disclosed.
Tang has been accused of taking bribes worth $2.7 million, or almost 17 million yuan. But Wednesday's announcement by Chongqing court did not give any details on when Tang was actually sentenced. Zhang Zhangning, a law professor at Southeast University, says the murky details surrounding Tang is a reflection of China's legal system.
Xi Jinping wants rule by constitution and rule by law, but I think there is a long way to go before that happens. There are big blocks in the judiciary and the rule of law.
Tang Jianhua was a deputy to Wang Lijun, the right-hand man to ousted Chongqing party boss Bo Xilai. After Bo Xilai's fall, his forces in Chongqing have gradually been cleared away. At least 4 senior officials at the Chongqing Municipal Public Security Bureau have been sentenced. Professor Zhang believes the way that Tang's case has been handled indicates discord at the top level of the Communist Party towards Bo Xilai.
The judiciary cannot follow proper procedures due to external factors, human factors. The human interference is quite obvious, and that's why we saw this happen.
Bo Xilai has been held in secret detention since being ousted last year. He's awaiting trial for crimes including bribery and abuse of power. No details have been given on when Bo will actually face court.
And coming up after the break, Chinese Premier warns there won't be much room for new economic stimulus policies. China steps up assault on internet freedom, and meet Hong Kong's new electric taxis. And welcome back. China's Premier Li Keqiang surprised many observers on Wednesday when he was quoted as saying there would be little government stimulus for economic growth. This is in contrast to Wen Jiabao, Li's predecessor, who rolled out a 4 trillion yuan stimulus during the 2008 financial crisis. During a telephone conference with officials on Monday, May 13th, Li reportedly said that, quote, there is an over-reliance on government-led and policy-driven measures to stimulate growth. He continued to warn that this is unsustainable and would create new problems and risks. His words were officially released here on Tuesday. At least on paper, this will mark a big shift in how the Chinese regime runs the economy and its use of the free market. Economic data coming out of China has been disappointing, and market watchers have been expecting stimulus announcements from the government. On Wednesday, the Wall Street Journal reported that 12 economists it surveyed downgraded their forecast for China's economy compared to earlier in the year. And now a follow-up to a story we ran yesterday. The EU's trade chief met with the European Commission today to look for support for a probe into alleged unfair trade practices committed by Chinese telecom giants Huawei and ZTE. Now it looks like he has been given the green light.
The European Commission, the executive branch of the European Union, said today they're prepared to launch an all-out investigation into unfair trade practices perpetuated by Chinese telecom companies. EU Trade Commissioner Karel de Gucht approached the Commission today with his proposal. Several major European firms tried to dissuade him over concerns that it would only provoke the Chinese regime into handing out fewer contracts to European companies seeking business ties with China. Still, the Commission only agreed upon an investigation in principle. Final hour negotiations could still avert the probe. The EU is China's largest trading partner, but China is only number 2 for the EU. The United States continues to have that top spot. Part of the problem is the nebulous ties Chinese telecommunication firms like Huawei and ZTE have with the Chinese government. And after US-based security firm Mandiant accused the Chinese military of aggressively hacking into international companies, many countries are thinking twice about giving access to potentially sensitive servers to Chinese interests. If the probe happens, it will mark a new phase in the EU's relationship with China. In the past, this kind of probe would only be launched in response to a specific complaint by a European firm. This, however, is the EU itself taking action, despite concerns of some European companies.
In China, the internet has been one of the few forums for dissidents and intellectuals to express themselves and connect as a group. But that is changing. As the Chinese regime seeks greater control over the internet, new steps are being taken to stifle online dissidents.
Chinese censors are taking aim at online celebrities in the name of combating rumors. At least that's what Chinese authorities are saying as they rein in popular users of China's social media sites. Many of them have risen to fame for openly questioning or criticizing the regime. And now, internet police are deleting, suspending, or monitoring their accounts one by one. According to state media reports, the State Internet Office has closed the account of He Bing. He is the vice president of the School of Law at China University of Political Science and Law. He had over 460,000 followers. Another 2 people had their accounts closed for spreading rumors about bird flu cases in Guangzhou province. Popular novelist and microblogger Murong Shui-chun compared this to the crackdowns on intellectuals during Mao Zedong's era. He also had his own microblog account deleted with over 1 million followers. Netizens have proven to be active whistleblowers who provide an alternative to official news. They have also proven effective in exposing corruption. The Chinese regime's battle against online voices has been ongoing. In 2006, it passed a law stating that spreading rumors and false reports is punishable by administrative detention for 5 to 10 days. Analysts say the latest efforts is a sign of the government's insecurity and people's lack of trust in official state media.
The smog that blanketed Chinese cities earlier this year made headlines around the world. Now, a Chinese car maker is introducing something in Hong Kong they hope will make the air cleaner. But will it?
Traffic jams and air pollution. But as Hong Kong's roads become more congested with vehicles, solutions are also popping up. Meet Hong Kong's first fleet of electric-powered taxis. Automaker BYD Co. Limited rolled them out today.
According to estimates, if Hong Kong's 18,000 taxis and 12,000 diesel-fueled buses are all replaced with electric cars or electric buses, the reduction of emissions will be equivalent to that of 800,000 private cars, and it will reduce Hong Kong's emissions by 50%.
BYD wants to put 5,000 electric taxis on Hong Kong roads by 2015, but convincing the market to take it up may be challenging.
Electric car has its advantages, it's environmentally friendly, but its drawback is charging. It'll be a waste of time because it takes a few hours every time you charge.
BYD says it takes 2 hours to fully charge its E6 electric car, and the charge will keep the car going for 186 miles. But right now there is little supporting infrastructure, and some taxi drivers don't want to risk running low.
I don't think I will. Firstly, there aren't many places where you can charge it, so you'll have to wait, and it can't charge much anywhere. Also, traffic is bad in Hong Kong, so I don't think it's suitable for Hong Kong.
Others are skeptical that it really is a more environmental solution, at least for now. China gets most of its electricity from coal, one of the dirtiest sources of energy on the planet. While these caps may help cut emissions, it has not addressed its bigger problems of dependency on coal.
And that's all for this broadcast of NTD China News. For more of our China content, visit our website at ntd.tv or subscribe to our YouTube channel, NTD on China. Coming up next is a segment of the 9 commentaries on the Communist Party. Stay tuned.